Lucas McCain, the iconic father figure on screen, the righteous hero of the Rifleman. But behind the spotlight, who was Chuck Connors? An outstanding athlete, a star haunted by his role, 3 broken marriages, shocking personal secrets, and estrangement from his own children. The mystery of Chuck Connors is finally revealed, and the truth is not as beautiful as you might imagine. Discover the contradictory life of this man. Chuck Connors and the role of Lucas McCain. Surely, film enthusiasts are no strangers to the image of Lucas McCain, the upright man with the legendary rifle, an icon of fatherly love and justice in the classic series The Rifleman. Yes, that was Chuck Connors, the actor who etched himself into the minds of millions of fans with that unforgettable role. However, few know that behind the dazzling spotlight of a screen hero, Chuck Connors' real life held countless mysteries and dramatic ups and downs, even more heartbreaking than the stories he portrayed on screen. Could an icon of perfection have dark, hidden corners? And what is the truth about the man who dedicated his life to embodying an ideal figure? In the next part, we will together pull back the curtain, turning each page in the complex life of Chuck Connors, from his humble beginnings, his illustrious but unfulfilled sports career, to his journey to becoming a Hollywood star and the personal turmoil he always tried to conceal. Let's discover the untold truths about the Rifleman and prepare for a different look at the real Chuck Connors. Early life and challenging beginnings. Chuck Connors' life began far from easy, a stark contrast to the steadfast image of Lucas McCain. Born Kevin Joseph Aloysius Connors on April 10, 1921, in Brooklyn, New York, he grew up during the Great Depression, a historically challenging period. His family struggled with poverty, with his father working as a longshoreman and his mother taking on various odd jobs to make ends meet. In this difficult environment, sports became Chuck's lifeline and greatest solace. He found joy and escape on the baseball fields and in stadiums, where his natural talent began to shine. At just 14, Chuck received a scholarship to the prestigious Adelphi Academy, a remarkable achievement for a boy raised in a tough neighborhood. There, he excelled not in just one, but in multiple sports, demonstrating remarkable resilience and superior ability. However, the fear of losing opportunities and the feeling of being different from his wealthier peers were constant, invisible burdens weighing on his mind. Did these arduous experiences lay the foundation for the Rifleman's later fortitude, or did they plant the seeds for the complexities within his personality? From the field to the court, a professional sports career. Few know that before becoming a Hollywood star, Chuck Connors was a promising professional athlete, trying his hand at both basketball and baseball. At Seton Hall University, he demonstrated exceptional ability in both sports, showing rare determination and talent. It was during this time that the nickname Chuck became associated with him, stemming from his frequent phrase, "Chuck it to me," on the baseball field. In 1946, Chuck Connors made history by joining the Boston Celtics in the inaugural NBA season, even causing a stir by shattering the backboard, a memorable moment in basketball history. However, instead of continuing with basketball, he decided to switch to baseball, believing it offered a more promising path. He had the chance to debut in the Major League with the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1949, but after just one game, he was sent back to the minor leagues. Although he continued to strive in smaller leagues and had another opportunity with the Chicago Cubs in 1951, Chuck Connors gradually realized that baseball might not be his destiny. Could it be that these very failures and instability in his sports career pushed him to seek a new direction, a path that ultimately led him to fame beyond all expectations? Transitioning to Hollywood, an unexpected turn. As the door to his athletic career slowly closed, another unexpected door opened for Chuck Connors, the door to Hollywood. In 1952, while playing for the Los Angeles Angels, a seemingly minor event completely changed his life. a powerful home run by Chuck, coincidentally caught the attention of Billy Gordon, an MGM casting director sitting in the stands. Gordon, with the keen eye of a seasoned professional, saw in Chuck not just an athlete, but also an untapped acting potential. He approached Chuck and invited him to audition. A minor injury later inadvertently created the opportunity for Chuck to seriously consider the offer. And just 3 days after his audition, his first Hollywood contract was signed. His debut role was a small part in the 1952 film Pat and Mike, where he had the chance to work alongside the legendary Spencer Tracy. It was Tracy who saw Chuck's potential and encouraged him to continue on the acting path. Over the next 5 years, Chuck Connors continuously learned and challenged himself, taking on every role, big or small, to gain experience. His persistence and hidden talent finally paid off when, in 1957, his role as Burns Sanderson in Disney's Old Yeller truly brought him into the spotlight. This very role caught the attention of producers who were looking for a face for a new Western film project, the project that would later become The Rifleman. Could Chuck have imagined that this accidental turning point would transform him into an icon, yet simultaneously trap him in the shadow of that very role for the rest of his life? The role of Lucas McCain, icon and burden. In 1958, Destiny called Chuck Connors when he was officially cast as Lucas McCain in the series The Rifleman. Initially, he was quite hesitant due to the low salary offered, but MGM made an attractive counteroffer, 5% of the show's profits. This was a massive sum at the time and ultimately convinced Chuck. To perfectly embody Lucas McCain, the single father with his young son Mark, Chuck spent countless hours practicing riding horses and especially mastering the artful and skillful use of the Winchester rifle. When The Rifleman premiered on September 30, 1958, it immediately became a phenomenon, a symbol of fatherly love and unwavering morality. Lucas McCain was not only an excellent marksman, but also an exemplary father, a masculine figure full of tenderness and vulnerability, something quite new on television at the time. The show quickly achieved sky-high ratings and propelled Chuck Connors to stardom. However, accompanying the fame was an invisible burden. Chuck felt increasingly assimilated with the character of Lucas. He became deeply involved in the creative process, often revising dialogue to ensure authenticity and even inviting former teammates from his sports days to act alongside him. Yet, the role of Lucas McCain inadvertently typecast him, causing him to frequently turn down non-Western scripts because audiences only wanted to see him in a cowboy hat. By the final season in 1963, Chuck realized he was trapped in this heroic image. The Rifleman changed broadcasting culture, but it also plunged Chuck Connors into an internal struggle between his true self and the overwhelming shadow of Lucas McCain. Would he ever truly escape Lucas's shadow, or would this role forever be both a blessing and a curse in his life? The relationship with Johnny Crawford, fatherly love or redemption. In the world of The Rifleman, the relationship between Lucas McCain and his son Mark, played by Johnny Crawford, was central to the story, delivering touching and meaningful moments of father-son bonding. What's remarkable is that this connection extended beyond the screen, developing into a deep and strong friendship between Chuck Connors and Johnny Crawford in real life. Chuck was not just an acting mentor to Johnny, but also a teacher and a great friend in life. They often went camping, fishing, and talked about all sorts of life's matters, simple activities that nurtured a genuine affection. Perhaps it was in this relationship that Chuck found a form of redemption for himself. The emotional absence in his personal life with his biological children seemed to be partially compensated by the attention, care, and guidance he gave Johnny. Their bond was clearly evident in every frame of the show, with gestures and glances reflecting a heartfelt connection. The clearest testament to this special affection was at Chuck Connors' funeral in November 1992, where Johnny Crawford stood to deliver a moving eulogy, calling Chuck his real father. Their relationship was strong, not based on fame or contracts, but on a rare emotional bond in the ever-changing world of Hollywood. Could it be that Lucas McCain truly lived within Chuck Connors when he interacted with Johnny, and the on-screen father-son dynamic became a comforting element for the voids in his own personal life? Challenges post The Rifleman and a tumultuous personal life. After The Rifleman concluded, Chuck Connors faced a major challenge common to many actors, being typecast by his iconic role. While Lucas McCain brought him fame and admiration, it also became an invisible shackle. Audiences and filmmakers seemingly couldn't separate him from the image of the righteous cowboy, causing him to frequently turn down countless Western scripts in an effort to break free. He attempted to venture into various other roles, such as in the series Branded, 1965 to 1966, or notably as a brutal slave owner in the miniseries Roots, 1977, a performance that earned him an Emmy nomination. Despite these efforts, the shadow of Lucas McCain remained too vast, making it difficult for audiences to accept him in new roles. Chuck Connors himself once admitted that Lucas could be either a blessing or a curse for his career. However, the biggest challenges came not just from his career, but from Chuck Connors' tumultuous personal life. He went through 3 broken marriages, each carrying complex stories and difficult-to-heal scars. His first marriage to Elizabeth Riddell in 1948, despite having 4 sons together, ultimately dissolved due to Chuck's infidelity. Next, his second marriage to Carmela Divi in 1963 was an interracial relationship that once shocked Hollywood, but it was fraught with tension and disturbing rumors of violence. Finally, his third marriage to Faith Quabius in 1977, a former Playboy model 3 decades his junior, also quickly ended amid rumors of psychological manipulation and Chuck's erratic mood swings. His relationships with his sons also became strained, as he was frequently absent from important family events. He was described as distant, seemingly obsessed with fame and his career. Some actresses even refused to work with him again due to inappropriate behavior. Could it be that these personal tragedies were the greatest secrets Chuck Connors tried to conceal behind the smile of Lucas McCain? And were these contradictions the reason why this screen hero was so isolated in his real life? The secrets and complexities of Chuck Connors' life. When the spotlight faded, the curtain on Chuck Connors' true life was slowly drawn back, revealing a far more complex and controversial picture than his on-screen hero persona. Lucas McCain was an icon of morality and integrity, but Chuck Connors in real life faced growing whispers about his behavior. Stories of his overly flirtatious or boundary-crossing actions with actresses were no longer mere rumors. Many in the industry witnessed sudden shifts in his personality, from jovial to cold or controlling. While no formal accusations were ever made public, the fact that many colleagues refused to work with him again spoke volumes. Beyond these rumors, a larger tragedy lay in his relationships with his own family. Chuck's sons reportedly felt emotionally neglected, a stark contrast to the devoted father figure Lucas McCain. The man revered as a protector on screen was absent in the lives of his own children. He was described as distracted, seemingly obsessed with scripts, fame, or his next conquest. His relationships with friends and colleagues were also unstable, with moments of warmth interspersed with sudden, inexplicable withdrawals. As Chuck Connors' fame gradually waned, his controversial behaviors became more apparent, including inappropriate interactions with younger women and impulsive outbursts. Perhaps Chuck Connors' greatest tragedy wasn't his failed marriages or fractured family, but rather the emotional walls he built. He seemed to live within the facade of Lucas McCain, refusing to let anyone see his true self, keeping even his closest loved ones at a distant remove. His life was a portrait of contradictions, a man revered for his morality on television, yet often deviating from those very principles in real life. Final years and legacy. In 1991, Chuck Connors had an emotional reunion with his iconic role. He returned to the screen as Lucas McCain in the television film The Gambler Returns, The Luck of the Draw. Perhaps this was one of the rare moments when Chuck Connors truly allowed Lucas McCain to resurface. It's said that he shed tears while choosing the right hat for the character, a small detail that shows how deeply the role was ingrained in his soul. However, Chuck Connors' life was nearing its end. In 1992, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, a consequence of years of smoking. On November 10, 1992, at the age of 71, Chuck Connors passed away. At his memorial service, Johnny Crawford, his on-screen son Mark McCain, couldn't hold back tears as he delivered the eulogy, calling Chuck his father, once again affirming their special bond. Though the secrets and complexities of Chuck Connors' personal life only became more apparent after his passing, his legacy lives on. In 1984, he was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a recognition of his contributions to cinema. The Rifleman remains a beloved classic, and the image of Lucas McCain is still an icon of the ideal father and protector of justice in the hearts of millions. Chuck Connors' story shows us that legends are not made from perfection, but from the courage to live through one's own contradictions. He was a talented athlete, a screen icon, a father on television, a solitary figure in real life, but above all, he was a human being with all his complexities and mysteries. Do these hidden aspects change your view of Chuck Connors, or does he remain Lucas McCain in your heart? Leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on other fascinating behind-the-scenes stories about screen legends.